The past episodes covered guard passing and sweeps. Passing belongs to the top player, sweeps belong to the bottom. Observing many beginners at the gym, they grasp techniques quickly, but sparring is a different story. From the outside, they hesitate to pass when they should, and hesitate to sweep when the opening is there. People ask, what if I freeze or can't hit moves during sparring? Every Jiu-Jitsu practitioner goes through this phase, excluding the factor of overly dominant upper belts. Gym sparring usually isn't about counting points. Beginners don't even know how to score. If you want to understand BJJ scoring, check out this video. Often, the hesitation and fear stem from the unknown. Not knowing if a decision will get you submitted. Fear of submission paralyzes your action. Mental prep only cures symptoms. To eliminate fear completely, you must understand submissions. Enter today's topic, submission systems. BJJ submissions break down into chokes, arm locks, and leg locks. There's too much to cover, so this is a 3-part series. Let's start with my favorite category, chokes. To convey my concept of choking mechanics, I categorize them by operational principles into 3 groups: hidden blade, Gleipnir, and Kesa-Giri. First, the hidden blade category. These are single-point chokes using the hand like a dagger, requiring a solid fulcrum. Examples include the rear naked choke and directional choke. You can learn these as the same move, wrapping the arm around the neck, then chopping with the other hand. One is from the back, one from the front, or even the side. Next, the short choke. Drive the forearm into the neck, clasp the other hand, and pull back. Fewer control structures, but it's lightning fast. This is the gogo plata, unless you specialize in rubber guard or Williams guard. This rarely shows up. It uses the V shape of the ankle as a fulcrum under the neck. Then you force the head down. It looks like a guillotine, the Louis XVI kind. Next up, the ninja choke. At first, I didn't get why anyone would use such an awkward, uncomfy posture. But then I realized its potential for counter submissions from side control or back control. Finishing from the bottom is tough, but it effectively deters the opponent's advance. Alone, the ninja choke is in high percentage, but as a transition, it surprises people. Cross-collar choke, the signature weapon of legend Roger Gracie. Palms up or one up, one down, cross-grip the deep lapel like the guillotines dropping. Is there a double palms down cross choke? Mechanically possible, but almost nobody does it. Palms down makes it too hard to grip the deepest part of the collar. Next, baseball bat choke. Hands parallel, gripping the collar. Then you spin 180 degrees toward your palms down hand. No need to memorize the direction, spinning the other way feels completely wrong. I used to wonder, does spinning 180 from mount to north-south really make it better? Then I had an epiphany while limited to mount. As long as you get the grips, use it from side control or even standing. Apply enough tension to choke, though opponents usually frame and defend it. Rare nutcracker choke, gripping the outside of the lapels, pushing the neck like a vice. Similar to the cross choke, but with a different grip. Next, the paper cutter choke. One of the most brutal finishes from side control. The 2026 Mariana Pro, I1 purple belt absolute champion, used this exact move to submit opponent after opponent. Those are the common hidden blade techniques. Now, Gleipnir, named after the mythic Norse giant Fenrir. I wanted to call it lasso, but that gets confusing. These chokes need zero fulcrum s once locked in. What do I mean? Take the classic guillotine. People instinctively hip arch and yank back on the wrap burn, bending the spine. Some finish this way, but many let the opponent escape, leaving their own arms burning with lactic acid. I found a more efficient way that prevents this slip out. Guillotines fail because yanking back creates friction gaps, allowing the neck to slide out bit by bit with every squeeze, until they fully escape. My approach focused purely on shrinking the arm loop radius. Keep your upper arm glued to their neck. Close the gap to 0. I didn't invent this. It's Marcelo Garcia's signature Marcelo team. Same start as a classic guillotine, but emphasizes raising the outside elbow, collapsing the loop space without shifting your upper arm. No hip arches or explosive yanking needed, just stay calm once left. When they thrash, don't fight power with power. Follow them, trapping the head. As they slow down, carefully add pressure to seal the carotid arteries. Next, the bulldog choke, essentially a reverse guillotine, usually hit on a turtle the opponent. If they turtle tight with no space for a seatbelt, try the bulldog choke. North-south choke you might not have realized, but it's just a guillotine on a flat opponent. It's my coach's favorite. Those who hit this consistently in sparring are highly skilled, not because the move is magic, but because its precision demand is incredibly high. Lesser experienced players struggle to hit it cleanly on the first try. Like the guillotine, it requires collapsing all dead space. Wrap the neck, sink your shoulder, and scoot your body back. The shoulder must drop relaxed without force power or easy levers. The finishing pressure requires pure feel, breaking tension ruins it. The classic guillotine risks the opponent slipping out, lose chin control, and they pop their head out of the loop. To fix this, the arm in guillotine is perfect. Thread your choking arm through their armpit. unless they break the connection. Escaping the structure is impossible. It beats the traditional version without losing power. I highly recommend transitioning a Guillotine into an arm in full control. Next, Texas necktie. Same grips as the arm end but using your shin instead of your torso to close the loop. The sharp shin cuts off space efficiently. A very flashy finish. Now for the most brutal G version of Gleipnir the Volundero choke. Grip the collar from the back to close the loop, angle out, and use a push-pull mechanic to finish. An excellent alternative to the rear naked choke. The loop choke operates similarly, utilizing the collar to form a closed loop. One hand loops the lapel, the other blocks the back of the neck to seal it. Once it lands, it's inescapable and can be launched anytime. Success rate is the only downside. It looks simple, but executing it reveals hidden traps. You need enough lapel length. The grip shouldn't be right against the back of the neck. Due to G structure, the armpit and back of the neck form detention points. The sweet spot is right between them, maximizing lapel length for the wrap. The Kento choke uses the leg full pressure. Grip deep on the collar to maintain tension. It looks like a leg choke, but the leg actually pushes the face, forcing their neck into your deep layer point down grip. Finally, the clock choke, the G version of a bulldog choke. Using the lapel full pressure, simple as that. Those are the common Gleipnir chokes. Lastly, Kesa-Giri. In Kenjutsu, it's a diagonal slash from shoulder to hip. Bisect the enemy. This imagery perfectly fits the following moves. Anaconda, Dars, and arm triangle, notice their common rate. They encircle the shoulder and opposite armpit, mimicking the Kesa-Giri line. Let's look at Anacondas together. Anaconda shoot the arm from shoulder to armpit, roll them to their side, and squeeze. Dars the reverse. Shoot from armpit to shoulder, roll them, and squeeze. First timers often squeeze with all their might, yet the opponent is fine. The secret to this Kesa-Giri category is the slash element. Try and experiment. The line between shoulder and armpit crosses the soft spot above the collarbone. Pressing here exposes a spot unprotected by the cervical spine. Light pressure triggers a cough reflex, adding more distortion voice. Hold it. And vision blurs, meaning you've hit the carotid artery. That's how a clean anaconda or Dars should feel. We use the sharp blade of the radius bone to chop down on that artery along that diagonal line. Align the radius correctly and it takes minimal effort to force a tap. Even if they refuse to tap, they will honestly pass out. Next, Peruvian necktie and Japanese necktie. Peruvian starts from anaconda, control sit on their back and pull the forearm to finish. Similarly, Japanese necktie starts from Dars, control sit on the back and apply forearm pusher. The triangle choke is a BJJ classic. Strangely, it belongs here though. I saved it for last. What if I told you the classic triangle has a mechanical flaw? It requires trapping the head and one arm along that shoulder to armpit line. Control is flawless, but the flaw lies in the squeezing engine. Because your legs cross perpendicularly to enclose them, you lose the direct engine that shrinks dead space. Hence, the classic version requires clearing their arm across their neck to fill the void. If that still fails, you must pull the head down to artificially create finishing pressure. More interestingly, the dead-on classic triangle is the only one needing this extra grip. When you cut an angle and break alignment, your leg lock is no longer perpendicular. You can use your own leg as a fulcrum and squeeze with the quad, reducing space to zero. Any angled triangle lets you leverage quad power to crush their artery directly. Still don't believe me? Look at the TP choke. Crossed ankles provide an inward clamping fulcrum, while your hands hug your knees to assist. Combining arm and leg power shrinks the space like a heavy-duty vice, putting them to sleep. Now, the arm triangle Kata-Gami, a much better configuration, offering a built-in squeezing engine via connected hands. Don't let their trapped arm block their own neck cleared above their chin, then close the space until they tap out. Unlike the other Kesa-Giri slashes, this works more like a guillotine, flattening the closed space rather than chopping the neck. Now for G versions of Kesa-Giri, the G choke is just a G Peruvian necktie. Instead of the sharp radius bone, it utilizes the thin, rigid lapel to apply pressure. The same logic applies to a G version of the Japanese necktie. Those are the common choking techniques, and the three principles that make them work. Hidden blade offers zero distance brutality with a clear direction of pressure. High offense, but easier for opponents to frame out or counter the pressure direction. Gleipnir doesn't rely on specific directional vectors or fulcrum as it requires steady closure. Great control that follows the opponent's movement, maintaining a high finish rate. Kesa-Giri blends Gleipnir's control with hidden blades cutting power, my personal favorite. How do you choose between the three? Unless you have a solid pin or tight connection to their neck, rule out hidden blade first. Gleipnir split into neck only wraps or arm inclusive controls. If you successfully wrap the neck, shrink the loop immediately to finish. If you have time, isolate the arm to kill their escape routes and increase your margin for error. If the opponent is too explosive for Gleipnir, I transitioned to Kesa-Giri for combined control and horsepower, cutting the neck with the radius. Today we mapped out these chokes and the principles behind them. The goal isn't just memorizing names, but grasping the underlying mechanics. allowing you to spot submission openings you previously missed. In most cases, commit heavily to the choke and don't let go. That's the macro rule with a few exceptions. Those tactical pivots into the arm locks and leg locks we'll cover next. No matter how good your choke is, if they anticipated it won't land. In the next video, I'll break down arm locks, specifically elbows and wrists. Mastering elbow breaks simplifies everything, allowing you to apply the exact same leverage concepts to every joint in the body. See you next time.